G'day guys and gal. Warhammer 40k has a habit of just casually dropping these absolute bombs with no context or detail before then moving on and acting like they never did. Stuff like the Pale Wasting, which was a galaxy-threatening Lovecraftian event that no one talks about, or for this video, the War of the False Primarch, a super mysterious war that involved some of the most vicious Space Marine chapters in the galaxy, as well as the extermination of over 11,000 previously loyal Space Marines, and yeah, like a false Primarch apparently. Its mystery has spawned a number of plausible and interesting theories that I'd like to shine my girthy torch on today. Before we get started, the 2024 cosplay calendar goes live this Friday. For those that don't know, I have hired 5 stunning models, commissioned thousands of dollars worth of custom handmade cosplay, and then hired a studio, photographer, makeup artist, and Photoshop artist to take those models and put them in the world of Battle Mace 40 million with their tits out. It's very epic, it takes a lot of work, and I'm excited to finally show you guys and gal. There'll be an A4 version, an A3 version, a digital version, and new this year, a legendary version, which will be hand signed by me and feature an extra cosplay that costs more than all of the others combined, on top of a few other fun things. This is my magnum opus and even has its own team assigned to fulfillment, so we'll get them out at record time without interrupting anything else. Today we'll go over the War of the False Primarch, what information we have about it, as well as what the leading fan theories behind who the False Primarch actually was. Also, a quick shout out to the amazing Alex Christie for doing the artwork for the thumbnail. Once again, he doesn't disappoint with the commissions. Let's get into it. I'll be honest, the actual lore regarding the War of the False Primarch is extremely sparse and literally just appears on a single page of a book that came out in 2023. But with there being so much lore in 40k, we can draw upon in-lore examples to formulate some pretty solid theories regarding what actually happened. The official lore states that in late M33, so not too long after the Horus Heresy and the War of the Beast, a figure emerged, a false Primarch who was able to convince at least 11 previously loyal chapters to rebel against the Imperium and join their cause, and in response, the Imperium created the Pentarchy of Blood, 5 of the most vicious Space Marine chapters at the time, to go kill this upstart empire. The 5 chapters succeeded, completely wiping out the 11 renegades and in the process, likely taking out the false Primarch himself. The Pentarchy of Blood was made up of the Space Sharks, Flesh Eaters, Death Eagles, Red Talons, and the Channel Guard. I recently made a video going into more detail about these 5 chapters, but basically they were all known for being really fucking weird and extremely ruthless and violent. All of them were unconventional, hiding dark pasts or even darker secrets. The war itself took 8 decades to conclude, which insinuates that a lot of it was skirmishing before the Loyalists would strike a decisive blow, taking out the chapters one by one. There is no mention of chaos or corruption for this war, so it just straight up looks like a bunch of renegade chapters believing that they were serving the Imperium by following this false Primarch. Okay, cool. Thanks GW for the extremely vague lore about an extremely interesting topic. Ways to make my job hard. Fortunately, I like it hard. So let's now use our super sleuthing skills to figure out who the false Primarch actually was. Theory 1 is that it was chaos machinations that subtly corrupted a Space Marine champion into appearing like a Primarch reborn, creating one of those the path to hell is paved with good intentions situations. Funnily enough, Chaos has actually tried this in official lore and it nearly worked, so it wouldn't be a shock if they had tried it in the past. In more recent lore, a Blood Angel champion was given angel wings and empowered to look more like Sanguinius. He was able to wield Sangi's spear, thus many in the chapter saw him as Sangi reborn. Mephiz then went to investigate and was instantly like, nah bro, you're a fucking Chaos mutant. Which was true, it was just Chaos trying to pull a fast one. When the angel wings were cut, they sprayed out black corrupted ichor. This champion was slain by his own brother in order to save the soul of the chapter. So it wouldn't be too shocking if Chaos mutated a battle brother into appearing like Corvus or Jagged Eye Reborn, convincing a bunch of other chapters to join them and overthrow a corrupt Imperium. This also explains why the false Primarch was beaten by a measly 5 chapters. It wasn't actually Primarch power and likely just slightly buffed. It's a cool theory as it has literally happened before, so it's plausible. Also could have just been Magnus or the Changeling shapeshifting and being a little prankster. Before the next theory, I want to make a note. The 5 chapters chosen to destroy the false Primarch and his 11 renegade chapters were known for their ruthlessness, sure, but they would also never speak of what happened. The Death Eagles owed their existence to the High Lords because they were low-key Emperor's Children's successors, so they weren't going to speak about about it and risk being exposed, the space sharks barely fucking talk to each other as is, the charnel guard and flesh eaters are alienated from their own parent chapter due to how fucked up they are, and the red talons are in a similar boat to them. This implies that the false Primarch's existence would have been actually very problematic if its knowledge became widespread, so the whole false Primarch thing could have been pretty close to home. The next theory is that the false Primarch was one of Fabius Bile's Primarch clones that got loose. Fabius loves cloning more than I like glory holes. He fucking loves it. He's so good at it that he actually knows how to clone Primarchs. 99% of the time these clones are imperfect, lacking their Primarch mojo juice that makes a Primarch such a destiny-bending force of nature. However, even the imperfect ones are still formidable. Fabius has successfully cloned Horus, Fulgrim, and Ferrus while attempting to also clone pretty much all the rest to limited success. So imagining that a non-corrupted Horus clone was able to escape, that would have been nuts. He would have the memories of his past life, but without the corruption, likely feeling noble in purpose. He would hate the Imperium as a mockery of his father's dream before using his charisma to lure the 11 chapters to his side. The High Lords would freak, a new Horus has appeared, hence they would try to destroy him. In all truth, I wouldn't be shocked if the Horus clone was the good guy, attempting to save his father's dream and make amends for his heresy, only to be destroyed by the attack dogs of the High Lords. Non-perfect Primarch clones are very killable and do not have the plot armor of a true Primarch. Horus nearly died like 7 fucking times during the heresy to standard Space Marines or stuff like Knights, only surviving because of his bullshit Primarch hacks. So without those hacks, a simple bolt sniper to the head or a turbo laser should do the trick. But yeah, the idea of a Horus clone going out and causing a ruckus is quite amusing and would definitely explain why the High Lords would want to keep the whole thing hush hush. Probably the most fan favorite theory, and the one I actually based the art for this video around, is that the false Primarch was actually one of the lost Primarchs returned. This is supported by the fact that there are 11 chapters that joined him, insinuating that it was the 11th Primarch that came back. This opens up a whole nother can of worms that we don't really have the time to unpack today. I already have a pretty in-depth lost Primarch video, but it would be very spicy. How a lost Primarch would come back at that time? Oh, I don't know, I'm not your fucking dad, but I could imagine that the Emperor may have had him locked away, maybe in the dark cells, and he was able to escape during one of their many breaches, then using his Primarchiness could rally thousands of Astartes to his side to get revenge against the Imperium that betrayed him. In terms of how 5 Space Marine chapters could take on a Primarch and 11 other chapters, perhaps the Shadowkeepers assisted them from the shadows, as once something escapes from the dark cells, they never rest until it's returned. Also, I'm actually pretty confident that like 6 Shadowkeeper Alaris could take out a Primarch. Shadowkeepers are more elite than normal Custodes, and Alaris are fucking hectic, so a final battle where the Space Sharks and friends take out the last chapters, while a bunch of Shadowkeepers deep strike on top of the lost Primarch's tits, yeah, it's doable. Or perhaps the lost Primarch saw that he could not win against the Imperium, so he vanished as these chapters were getting wiped out. Either way, this would definitely be the most red-hot theory if it was true. Something that is almost just as spicy as the next theory, that the false Primarch was actually one of the Loyalist Primarchs returned that was disillusioned with the Imperium and sought to overthrow it. Or maybe they just wanted to see how things were, and when they tried to tell people that the Imperial cult was BS, the Inquisition got mad and tried to silence them. After all, a large chunk of the Inquisition is literally trying to come up with ways to assassinate Guilliman, so it definitely wouldn't be off the cards. I can imagine Corvus coming back into the fray and being disgusted with the Imperium, waging a guerrilla war against it, thus being declared a false Primarch. Perhaps he sought an alternative goal, using the 11 chapters as bait and fodder to buy him time to assassinate bad actors within the Imperium or stop some kind of insidious plot, at which point he vanishes again and leaves the 11 chapters to die. I mean, to be honest, I could write a whole fanfic about Vulcan returning but only to set a galactic record from the largest ever glory hole before vanishing again, his girthy cock leading to the death of 11 chapters, considering how little lore there is about the false Primarch, but we will keep away from that smut for now and focus on the more realistic theories. But yes, a Loyalist Primarch temporarily returning is a pretty solid potential theory. And finally, the boring, safe, and most likely explanation, it's the Badab War 2, Electric Boogaloo, or the Badab War prequel, because it happened prior. Basically, an especially spicy warlord gets sick of the Imperium being shit, which is, fair enough, and creates a pocket empire to get shit done. Various chapters join them as they agree, and then the Imperium has a hissy fit and exterminates them. Not the most exciting of theories, but with GW not really likely to do massive spicy lore stuff unless they can print a shitload of money from it, this is probably the most likely theory, with the warlord getting so juiced up on their own ego that they declare themselves a new Primarch. Regardless, I don't think we will ever know what the War of the False Primarch was actually about, unless this video blows up and then GW is like, money, 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 and makes a random ass novel about it. So yeah, sharing this video around could be the only way we ever find out. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon Patreon is the place to be, where you have some images from last year's calendar and some other live action cosplays to give you an idea of what to expect from this year's calendar. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.